If you've just bought the Mission 1 Pro, don't start filming just yet. There are a few settings I'd change first. Over the last few weeks, I've been using the Mission 1 Pro for everything from everyday filming, vlogging, cinematic B-roll, and over that time I've settled on a setup that gives me the best balance between image quality, flexibility, and ease of use. Now, these aren't the only settings you can use, and they're probably not the right settings for everyone, but they are the settings I keep coming back to, and more importantly, I'm not just going to tell you what they are, I'm going to show you exactly why I use them. So, let's start with a setting that usually surprises people the most. Resolution. I shoot almost everything in 8K, even though nearly every video I upload ends up in 4K. Now that probably sounds a little backwards, so let me explain. I don't shoot in 8K because I want to upload in 8K. I shoot in 8K because it gives me more options later in the edit. If a shot needs straightened in, I can level the horizon. If I want to tighter composition, I can crop into the image. And if I want to add a little movement, I can create a subtle pan or zoom, all while still exporting a really sharp 4K video. Could I shoot everything in 4K instead? Absolutely. If you know you'll never need to crop your footage, or you're filming long events where storage space is more important, then 4K is still an excellent choice. But for the way I shoot YouTube videos, I'd rather have the extra flexibility and not need it than need it and not have it. For me, that makes 8K the easy choice. Once I've settled on my resolution, the next thing I choose is frame rate. For almost everything I film, I shoot at 25 frames per second. Now that's not because 25 frames per second is better than 30 frames per second, it isn't. The right frame rate depends on where you live and how you shoot. Here in the UK, our mains electricity runs at 50 Hz. So filming at 25 or 50 frames per second helps reduce the chance of flicker under artificial lighting. It also matches the frame rate I edit in, so my workflow stays consistent from recording right through to exporting the finished video. If you're in a country that uses 60 Hz power, like the US or Canada, then a 30 or 60 frames per second will usually be a better choice. The only time I change it is when I know I want slow motion. Then I'll switch to 50 frames per second or 200 frames per second, depending on how dramatic I want the effect to be. So don't think of this as the best frame rate. Think of it as choosing the right frame rate for where you live and what you're filming. For me, that means 25 frames per second whenever I'm shooting normal video, and maybe a higher frame rate when I want to slow things down. This is probably the most debated setting on any camera, and honestly, I can understand why. One gives you a finished image straight out of the camera. The other gives you a more flexible in the edit, but only if you're prepared to spend a little more time color grading it. Neither option is wrong, it just depends on how you like to work. Personally, I shoot in log 2 because I enjoy color grading and I like to have complete control over the final image. Straight out of the camera, log 2 is designed to look flat and low in contrast. That's exactly what you want because it leaves you with more room to shape the image later. For me, the extra flexibility is worth the few extra minutes I spend grading each project. But if you prefer to record, edit, and upload as quickly as possible, there's absolutely nothing wrong with using the normal color profile. So instead of asking yourself which profile is better, ask yourself one simple question. Do I actually want to color grade my footage? If the answer is yes, I'd definitely recommend trying log 2. If the answer is no, stick with the normal profile and spend more time filming than editing. For me, log 2 fits perfectly into my workflow. But it's not my workflow that matters. It's yours. The next setting I change is bitrate, and this is probably one of the most easiest decisions I make. I always leave it set to maximum. The reason is simple. If I'm already shooting in 8K, recording in log 2 and planning to colour grade my footage, I want the camera to capture as much information as it possibly can. Maximum bitrate gives the camera more data to work with, especially in detailed scenes like trees, grass, water, or anything with lots of movement. Now, is it going to completely transform your footage? No, the difference is often quite subtle. But all of these small improvements add up. And when I'm spending time editing, colour grading, I want to start with the best quality file I can. The trade-off is a larger file size. Now, memory cards have become a little more expensive recently. Apparently, AI needs them too. Even so, I'd still rather buy another memory card than wonder if I could have captured just a little more detail in a shot. I can't go back and film again. Now, if you're filming long events, running short on storage, or you simply prefer a smaller file size, then standard bitrate is still a perfectly sensible option. So ask yourself one question. Would you rather save storage space or save every bit of image quality your camera can capture? For me, that's an easy decision. Image quality wins every time. The next setting is sharpness, and I think this is one of the easiest settings to get wrong. It's easy to think that turning the sharpness up will give you a more detailed image. But that's not really what it's doing. The camera isn't capturing more detail, it's simply adding more sharpening to the detail that's already there. Push it too far and the edges can start to look harsh, artificial and over-processed. If someone notices your camera's sharpness setting, it's probably because it's been pushed too far. After spending a few weeks with the Mission 1 Pro, for me it gives the best balance between detail and natural looking image. There's still plenty of detail, but it looks like the scene, not the camera. Low is still a perfectly good option if you prefer a softer image, or you like adding your own sharpening during editing. For my workflow though, medium gives me the look I'm after, so it's a setting I leave the camera on. Sharpness should enhance the image, not announce itself. For me, medium is the sweet spot. The next setting is Denoise, and just like sharpness, it's all about finding the right balance. The camera is constantly trying to reduce the image noise, but the more aggressively it does that, the more detail it can also smooth away. Leave it too low, and you may see more visible image noise, especially in darker scenes. Push it too high, and fine textures can start to look a little too smooth, almost like the camera is trying to clean the image a little too much. After quite a bit of testing, I settled on medium. It gives me the balance I'm looking for. There's enough noise reduction to keep the image looking clean, but without noticeably softening the detail I'm trying to keep. Just like sharpening, I don't really want to notice the denoise setting while I'm watching the footage. If I notice it, it's probably working too hard. For me, medium quietly does its job. And honestly, that's exactly what I want from this setting. The next setting is ISO. And for almost everything I film, I simply leave it on auto. Now, that's not because manual ISO isn't better in the right situation. It's because most of the time I'm filming in the real world where the light is constantly changing. If I'm walking from bright sunlight into the shade, or moving between indoors and outdoors, the camera does a really good job of adapting, without me needing to stop and adjust my settings. That means I can keep my attention where it matters, on the shot. Now, if I'm filming in a studio, or any environment where the lighting stays exactly the same, then I'll happily switch over to manual ISO. But that's only a small part of the way I use the camera. For everything else, auto ISO gives me one less thing to think about, and that's exactly what I want from an action camera. The camera can worry about the exposure, I'll worry about getting the shot. Auto ISO isn't about giving up control. It's about letting the camera do the things that it's genuinely good at, so I can concentrate on creating the footage. The next setting is white balance. And just like ISO, I leave mine on auto. Now I know this is another setting people have strong opinions about, and honestly, I can understand why. If you're filming in controlled lighting, where every shot needs to match perfectly, then locking your white balance is absolutely the right thing to do. But that's not how I use an action camera most of the time. Most of my filming involves walking between sunlight, shade, and indoor lighting. Although the white balance does a really good job of adapting as those conditions change. Could it occasionally get caught out? Of course, no automatic system is perfect. But after weeks of using the Mission 1 Pro, I found it reliable enough that I simply leave it on auto and concentrate on filming. I'd rather notice the change in light than spend my time changing the camera settings. If I'm creating something that is carefully planned and colour consistency is critical, then I'll happily lock my white balance. But for everyday filming, I'll leave it on auto. The next setting is digital lens, and for almost everything I film, I leave it set to linear. The reason is simple: I want my footage to look natural. Ultra wide gives you an incredible field of view, but it also stretches the edges of the frame and creates a classic action camera look. Linear removes most of that distortion and gives me an image that looks much closer to what I'd expect from a traditional camera. Whether I'm filming a landscape, walking and talking to the camera, or recording B-roll, I simply prefer the cleaner, more natural perspective. That doesn't mean wide or ultra wide are wrong. If I'm mounting the camera to a helmet, a bike, or somewhere I want to capture as much of the scene as possible, then those wider lenses make perfect sense. For my style of filming though, linear gives me the look I'm after straight out of the camera. I want people to notice the footage and not the lens. That's why linear stays switched on for almost everything I film. The next setting is hyper smooth, and for almost everything I film, I leave it switched on. Now I know some people prefer turning stabilisation off because they're worried it might reduce image quality. And yes, there can be a very small trade-off. But personally, I'd rather have a stable shot than spend my time worrying about a tiny difference I'm probably never going to notice. I bought an action camera because I expect it to handle movement well. And a hyper smooth is one of the reasons I bought this camera in the first place. Whether I'm walking, following a subject, or simply filming handheld, it quietly smooths out those little movements that naturally happen when you're shooting. That doesn't mean I never switch it off. If the camera is locked on a tripod, or I'm filming a completely static shot, stabilisation isn't really doing anything useful. But for my style of filming, most shots involve some kind of movement. So leaving hyper smooth on means one less decision to make while I'm filming. For me, getting a smooth shot is worth far more than chasing a tiny technical improvement that I probably won't see in the end video. The last setting I change isn't one I use all the time. It's face tuning. If I'm filming landscapes, B-roll or action footage, I leave this unbalanced. But if I'm recording a piece to the camera where I'm talking, showing my face, then I'll switch it to face tuning. It gives my face a little more attention without affecting the rest of the image. And for vlog style footage, I think it works really well. This is one of those settings that's brilliant when you need it, but is completely unnecessary when you don't. So after weeks of testing, this is a setup I've settled on for the Mission 1 Pro. 8K resolution, 25 frames per second, log 2, 10-bit colour, maximum bitrate, medium sharpness, medium denoise, auto ISO, auto white balance, linear digital lens, and hyper smooth on. And face tuning set to face only whenever I'm talking to the camera. But remember, these aren't the only correct settings. They're simply the settings that work best for the way I film. If your style of filming is different, your perfect setup might be different too, and that's exactly how it should be. Hopefully this video hasn't just shown you which settings I use, it's helped you understand why I use them. Because once you understand the thinking behind each setting, choosing the right setup for your own style of filming becomes a whole lot easier. I would genuinely like to know what settings you settle on, so please let me know in the comments. Hopefully this video has been useful. If it has, give it a like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon in another video.